Have you ever experienced betrayal in your life, whether you betrayed yourself or you betrayed someone else or someone else betrayed you, and you're not really sure how to release this shame spiral and this guilt and this remorse that you're feeling, or release the resentment that you're feeling for someone else who's betrayed you? You can't seem to find the forgiveness in your heart to release this and really move forward in your life. Because I get it. I've been there. I've been on both sides of the situation, and it's really freaking hard to navigate. And I wanted to make a video series about this, about resentment and shame and guilt and grace and compassion and forgiveness after betrayal. And I'm making it a video series, a multi-video series, so that I can really go into each aspect of it, because it's a big topic and there's a lot to it, and one video is just not going to be enough. So I'm actually starting with this one, with self-betrayal and betrayal of others, because I feel like it's really important to learn how to navigate that first, so that we can sincerely and genuinely extend that grace and compassion and forgiveness to others after we've learned how to betray or learned how to forgive ourselves. So I have done some things in my life that I never, ever, ever would have thought I would ever do. If someone were to ask me years ago if I would ever do XYZ, I would have been like, no, I'm a good person. I would never do that. I would never do that. But life has a funny way of humbling you. Life has a funny way of putting you in situations to test your integrity and to test your strength in that integrity, to see if you would really stand strong in your convictions, or if you would betray yourself or betray others. And in doing that, it's not to shame you. It's not to make you feel like crap. It's not to put you down and just to make you hate yourself and stay in this self-loathing spiral. That's not the point. You are supposed to feel that a little bit, because if you don't, you're either like a psychopath, and I'm just saying, you're either a psychopath, or you are unwilling to look at the pain that you have caused others, and you'd rather just pretend like it didn't exist. And so you just kind of like turn your blind eye to it. And like sometimes that is easier because we don't want to feel the pain that we have and caused onto others. But if we really allow ourselves to feel that shame and that guilt and that remorse, we should feel that in order to come to a place of reconciliation, so that we can reconcile and heal, so that we can look up at our unconscious patterns and our wounds that we may have within ourselves that need healing, so that we don't continue to repeat that cycle. Because remember, hurt people, because there's something inside of us that has this unhealed wound, and we won't know that it's there until we look at it. We really reflect on it and become more self-aware and heal that wound, so that we don't project that pain onto others, because it's in our subconscious mind. But we do have to make mistakes in order to learn from those mistakes, in order to grow. We aren't expected to be perfect, and we aren't expected to make these mistakes and just live a life sentence of guilt and shame and remorse and all this heaviness and this crap, and expecting ourselves to be perfect, because then we'll never humble ourselves and we'll never learn from our mistakes. That's like if we took a math test and our teacher never marked anything wrong, and so we just think we get 100% all the time, and I'm perfect. Every single test, all the time, I'm perfect. It's like, no, it's important for us to look back on these math test questions that we missed, so that we can grow and learn from them. So that way, whenever situations come back around, you're not going through the same revolving door. You're not repeating the same mistakes. You are learning from them. You're self-aware, and you're more mindful in your responses. You're not mindlessly, subconsciously reacting, but you are responding with truth and integrity and what you know to be true within you, because you've learned and you've grounded that in and you've solidified that within yourself. It's kind of like if you think about in the gym, if you are lifting weights, you are going to, like, every single week you're going to have leg day, and every week it's that leg day is going to come back around, and you can continue to lift the same weight on leg day, or you can continue to increase your weights and challenge yourself more over and over and over, so that you can get stronger and stronger. It always comes back around. Everything does. So, and it's just to make us stronger and more resilient, and have more integrity, because anything that's not tested can't be trusted. So you may say, I would never do XYZ, and then this test comes in and it's like, oh, you would never do that? Well, let's just see. Let's just see if you would never do that. And we actually see that in scripture. So I'm going to share this story that many of you have probably heard about Peter. And at the Last Supper, Jesus says to Peter that, or he says to all of the disciples, that your faith will be tested. And the disciples are like, oh no, I wouldn't betray you. And Peter specifically says, no, Jesus, I would never do that. I would die for you. And Jesus was like, you would die for me? Really? Well, tonight before the rooster crows, you're going to deny me 3 times. And Peter's like, no, I would never do that. I would never deny you. I would die for you. But that is what happens. Peter, as he's watching Jesus from a distance, people are like, oh, you know him. You're friends with him. I've seen you with him. And Peter's like, no, I don't know him. And they're like, yeah, I've seen you 3 times. And Peter's like, no. And he starts to get mad and he starts cursing. And then the rooster crows. And when that rooster crows, it's almost like this wake-up call. Like, to me, it symbolizes this wake-up call, like, oh my gosh, I was asleep. I didn't realize that was in my shadow self, that was in my subconscious, and that woke him up. This rooster crow woke him up, and he realized, like, oh my gosh, I thought I would never deny Jesus. I would never, because I would die for him. I would do all these things for him. And then whenever he was tested, he realized, oh my gosh, no, I was not as strong as I thought I was. And he felt bad, and he felt a lot of remorse, and he started to weep. And the point of that was not to shame Peter, not to make Peter feel like crap. Yes, he felt like crap initially, and we have to. We're supposed to feel like crap so that we can not want to repeat that again, so that we don't continue to repeat that cycle, so that we can awaken to our shadow aspects within us, our subconscious wounds, and then heal those and become stronger. Not to feel like crap and to stay like, oh my God, I did this and this and this. Oh, I feel bad. It's not a life sentence. It's not meant to, you're not meant to hold on to that forever. You're just meant to feel it for as long as you need to feel it in order to alchemize it, to change your ways, to reflect on it and become self-aware. Like, oh my gosh, I did this. I didn't intend to. I wasn't trying to do XYZ. So like in Peter's situation, he thought he was stronger than what he actually was. And this tested his faith. It's tested his integrity. If Peter, he was the rock. He was renamed Simon to Peter because he was the rock, and he was supposed to be the rock, the foundation, the solid foundation with integrity that the church, the Christian church, was supposed to be built upon. But if he buckles under fear, if he doesn't have the strength to withstand the test of his integrity and the truth of who he is, what he really believes with conviction, then he's going to crumble under fear. So that didn't happen to shame Peter and to make him feel like crap. It was there to show him where his weakness was so that he could become self-aware and become stronger, so that he would stand stronger with conviction and not buckle under fear. So that was the whole point. And then he had the opportunity to reconcile with Jesus after Jesus had resurrected. And Jesus asked him 3 times, Peter, do you love me? And that those 3 denials were reconciled, were like alchemized whenever Peter was able to tell Jesus, yes, I love you. Yes, I love you. Yes, I love you 3 times. And we have that opportunity in our lives too. We have the opportunity to reconcile with ourselves and with others. And I'll get into the others in a future video because I feel like that isn't really important too. Reconciliation is so important. You can be ready to forgive someone, but until they are willing to reconcile with you, you can't fully forgive them because, you can be ready. You can be open and ready. Your door can be open. The door to your heart can be open. But until they actually come back and reconcile, then you can't actually give them the gift of forgiveness. Not until they ask for it sincerely and they reconcile and really show their humility that they have learned what they were supposed to learn. But I'll get to that in another video. I'm not going to get into that right now. So in order for us to not betray others, it is important for us to first not betray ourselves, because that self-betrayal, that was actually one of the hardest lessons I had ever learned, was my betrayal of self. Because I don't really know where it says it in scripture. I can't remember where it says it, but it even says the denial of the Holy Spirit is the worst sin that you can have. I don't remember. I'm totally paraphrasing. I can't remember. I just know that to be true through I mean, I heard it, but hearing it doesn't matter. I've experienced it, and I know that to be true. The betrayal of myself was the most painful betrayal that I've ever experienced, because I knew better and I didn't do better. And I mean, consciously, I knew. I'm not saying when I hurt someone else, I'm saying I knew the truth of my soul, where my soul was calling me to go, but I turned it, like I kind of pushed it away because it was too hard to do that. I buckled under fear. And whenever I did that, I felt, whenever you reject your soul, that is reflected in a rejection from God. So if I reject myself, if I reject God, or the call from God, or, the call in my soul, if I reject that and I say no to that, then God is going to reject me, and I will experience a spiritual exile. And I've experienced that, and it's painful. And that is what creates the reverential fear. That is the grace, the divine grace that puts you back on track. So, we hear a lot of times about divine grace, and we think, oh, grace is so love and light. Not always. It is, because it leads you back on the path to love and light. But it doesn't mean that it's always like pleasant. Grace isn't always pleasant. Grace can actually be a disciplined hand to get you on the path of love and light. And it's always out of love. It's like tough love from Spirit that kicks us in the booty to get us back on the path of truth, the path of the light, the path back to God, and the path of our souls. And I have experienced that to get me back on track of where my soul is calling me to go, and not where my mind thinks that I should do. Your mind tries. Your mind is just doing what it thinks it's supposed to do, and it's trying to protect you. But your soul is your ultimate guide. And that's part of the song Amazing Grace. Like, that song has really resonated with me a lot more over the past couple of years than it ever did in the past. Like, I've kind of reintroduced myself to that song. In the second verse, it says, "'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved." And that 'twas grace that taught my heart to fear. That is the reverential fear. It's the divine grace that taught my heart to fear. Like, oof. That divine grace, it really comes in like with that discipline to get you, like I said, to get you that kick in the booty, to get you back on track. But then grace, my fears relieved, because grace is also when you are standing in that truth and you are standing in your integrity, and you know that Spirit has your back. You know that if you're walking the path of truth, if you're following the call, and it's a divine call, then you will always be divinely supported. So our fear, our reverential fear is there because we know it like helps us to understand and really humble ourselves to the power of the divine and really respect the power of God. But as you follow God and you follow the call of your soul, and you listen to God, then your egoic fears, your human fleshly fears can be relieved, because you know that if you are divinely called to go a certain way and you follow the call of your soul, then you will always be divinely supported. You can release your human fleshly egoic fears because you know that divine grace has your back. And that is the beautiful, that's the pleasant grace. It's the divine grace that kicks us in the butt, that makes us understand the power of Spirit, of the divine, of God. And then as we learn that and we stay in alignment with the truth and we don't betray ourselves, then we won't betray others, and we are divinely supported. And then our fears, our fleshly egoic fears, can be relieved, can be released. So nobody can tell you that either. Nobody can tell you what your truth is. Nobody can tell you what the path of your soul is but you. You find that within yourself. It's all within you. God is within you. It's nothing outside of you. It's not like that is what the external validation, that's part of the external validation. It's not out here. That your truth is not out here. Your truth is within you. And that is what keeps you in alignment with your truth. That keeps you from self-betrayal, and that keeps you from betraying others, because you find that truth within yourself. And it's standing strong with conviction in our truth. We can reflect that and not betray others. We will stand strong. We will walk the path of our souls. And we don't waver from that. That is the truth, and that is where our strength comes from, is from God, and standing strong and rooted in God. and you're not making fear-based actions or actions based on the wounding that you have within yourself. It gives you an opportunity to reflect on yourself and your actions that you've done so that you can find where it is that you need to heal so that you don't continue to hurt others because you have healed your own crap within yourself. So giving yourself the grace and compassion, like, oh, I made this mistake and I understand, like looking at it, being humble enough to look at the mistakes that you've made so that you don't continue to make them, and giving yourself that love and that grace and compassion, like, wow, I did this because of my need for external validation, whatever. Like, that's just an example. I did this because I'm afraid of what other people are going to think, or I did this because, wow, I was abandoned when I was a kid and I was just fighting for this person to whatever it is, but you can look at it and give yourself grace and compassion and understand it. And as you do that, that is like so important for you to reflect on your own crap, because we all have crap. We all do. Every single one of us has crap. But looking at that crap within ourselves so that we can give ourselves grace and compassion and understand that other people are navigating their own crap too. We don't know why people do whatever they do. We don't know. And we won't know why we do what we do if we don't look at it. And we won't be able to heal it unless we look at it. And giving ourselves that grace and compassion is what will help us to extend that to others. We will reflect that grace and compassion onto others. Maybe they're making mistakes that you would never make, but maybe you're making mistakes that they would never make. We don't know, And like I said earlier, what they're doing, whatever mistakes they're making, maybe you may think that you would never make those mistakes, but you might surprise yourselves. You might humble yourselves in the future and make some mistakes that you never thought you would make. So just remember just to give yourself grace and compassion and really look on what you have done and why you did it. Not with shame, not with all this guilt and this heaviness and expectation of perfection. No, in order to redeem yourself and forgive yourself and then reconcile that with yourself and with others so that healing can happen. So I hope this video helped you a little bit on how to find that forgiveness of yourself after self-betrayal or betrayal of others. And like I said, I'll be making another video, maybe two, but probably just one more, where I talk about when someone else has betrayed you or hurt you and learning how to find that forgiveness within yourself. So, and that can be really hard. And yeah, I've experienced that as well. So anyway, thank you for listening and have a good rest of your day.